I'm Tom Schmidt. I am an associate professor of religious studies at Fairfield University.
Dr. Tom Schmidt. Tom, good to see you. Welcome to Exegetically Speaking.
It's great to be here, David.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I admire your work. And one of the things that we talked about on another podcast was your new book that's coming out, Josephus and Jesus, New Evidence for the One Called Christ. We want to recommend that. It's Oxford University Press. Some of what we're going to talk about today is going to be actually found in that book.
Yeah, precisely.
So how did you get started reading Greek?
I became a Christian in college, and I couldn't get enough of the New Testament. And I read it, I just gobbled it up, and I wanted to know the original language behind it. So I just signed up for some Greek classes. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was the hardest class I have taken in college. I really struggled. I had to work very, very hard, but I loved it. And pretty soon I kept taking those classes, and I kind of accidentally majored in Greek. And then I was looking for a job, and as a Greek Latin major, there wasn't much except to teach Latin and Greek, and I did in the local schools. And I started doing translation work. I've got some translations from Greek that I've published, and I love it. And it's enriched my understanding of the New Testament and, of course, other ancient texts also.
Well, one of the great things about teaching is that you get a chance to kind of go back over things again and see it again and hear it again. And it just seems to go deeper and deeper every time you do that.
Oh, absolutely. There's new things that come off the page, and students point new things out to you also. Even beginners will notice things that you haven't noticed.
Yeah. And it's because they're looking at it with a new set of eyes, right? And sometimes we come at these texts with these bias ahead of time about what it means and what it's supposed to mean. And so it causes us to read it in a particular way. And a part of what you have done with the work on Josephus, particularly the testimony of Flavius Josephus, about Jesus, that you've read all of those texts in a brand new way, and it's really exciting. So I want to commend that to folks. Now, today we're going to be looking at Luke 5:26. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in this text, first of all.
This is the famous passage where Jesus heals the paralytic. It's a very moving passage. It occurs in the Synoptic Gospels. Luke has a little unique flourish to it, though, because at the end, after the healing has taken place, Jesus has healed this man. In Luke 5:26, it says that, ecstasy, amazement, or, being stunned, seized everyone who was watching, and that they gave glory to God, and they were filled with fear, saying that we have seen what is often translated as remarkable things or miraculous things today. But I think the Greek puts a little different spin.
Okay. So what's the Greek word there that we should be thinking about?
The operative word for miracle or remarkable is paradoxa. If that catches you as a little suspicious sounding in English, it's because it was that way in Greek also.
So how should we take that then? I mean, if it's not, we've seen a miracle here today, if it's not so much straightforward, and he doesn't use the typical word for miracle, right?
Right. The New Testament talks about Jesus' miracles and the miracles of the apostles all over the place. And Greek is a very rich language. It uses 3 or 4 different words to describe those miracles. It uses semeia for signs. It uses dunamis, tetarata, thauma. But only in this passage does it deploy paradoxa. And I think in order to understand the word properly, we have to remember that we're dealing with an ancient text with a different cultural perspective, different cultural lens. From that perspective, people in the ancient world were much more willing to talk about the miraculous, but from a negative point of view. In the modern Western world, we're much more quickly to talk about miracles as positive, as something that is good. But in the ancient world, they had more shifting categories, miracles that came from evil sources or miracles that were just suspicious. And sometimes it wasn't because they thought they didn't happen. It was because they really wondered, was this person doing this through divine means or through magical means or demon? What is going on here?
Right, because it wasn't self-evident that this was God, although it does say a little higher than that they were glorifying God and they were filled with fear. The idea of maybe awe or reverence or maybe, but it could just be, this is pretty scary stuff.
Yeah. Of course, the crowd is not all going to think the same thing.
Yeah.
Positive views, some people have negative views. I think that what Luke is trying to sum up here is that they weren't really quite sure what to make of what just happened. And you see that in various English translations, that some of the translations will render this as remarkable or amazing things, but there's quite a few English translations that say strange things. And then there are some that use my preferred word, which is incredible things. And that's because incredible could mean stunning, amazing, wonderful, but it could also mean beyond belief, something that can't be believed.
Yeah.
We don't have a perfect word for this in English. In Greek, I think the nuance is more suspicion, wondering if this comes from a morally sound source, rather than wondering if it actually happened. I think it's more a question of the morality of it than whether it occurred or not.
Well, one of the charges leveled against Jesus by opponents was that he performed some of his miracles in league with the devil. So that this could be an initial hint at that sort of being said, at least by some, because he's also a blasphemer in this story. I mean, he's blasphemed, according to the account, by usurping God's prerogative in terms of forgiving sin.
And we see this, there's an early Jewish source that talks about Jesus. It's about from the year 140, 150. It's called the Jew of Celsus, and it's vehemently critical of Jesus. But like all ancient sources on Jesus, they admit he worked miracles, but they try to come up with explanations for it. But this Jewish source says that he did paradoxa, and he did it through magical means. It wasn't through divine power, which aligns exactly with what you see Jesus' opponents accusing him of in the Gospels.
Yeah. And the word magic in that context doesn't mean an illusion that you've been tricked. It means that Jesus had the ability to operate spiritual powers that could have been malevolent and not necessarily the white magic, the dark magic. Anyway, it's fascinating reading. Tom, thanks for being with us today on this and helping us and giving us at least a little bit of insight into this idea that Jesus is doing some pretty incredible stuff, but we really don't know what to make of him yet.
It's a pleasure to be with you, David.
Yeah, thanks so much. Check out Dr. Tom Schmidt's website, josephusandjesus.com. He's uncovered some interesting new evidence about Jesus from history. Thanks to our Crackerjack staff. I'm showing my age with that comment. The fetching Kathy Capes, our audio editor, Rebecca Larson, John Lansma, and Jesse Dugan. Special thanks to Phil Keggy for our music. If you're interested in studying Greek and Hebrew, I have 2 words for you. Wheaton College, the best place, hands down, in these great United States to study these languages. You follow the show notes for links. They'll guide you to where you want to go. And let me tell you this, get started today. You'll never regret it. You will not regret it. Get started today. Until next time, my name is David Capes for the Lanier Theological Library. Thanks for listening.